Going on, everybody? This is the Ghost Cobra for YouTube channel The Boss Ninja, and today we are going to be talking about this thing, the official Microsoft controller for Xbox One. More specifically, we're going to be talking about using it for Killer Instinct, for fighting games. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the D-pads and the analogs, controlling your character, doing motions, doing moves, doing whatever you want to do with them. This D-pad is very interesting. At first look, it may look like a Super Nintendo D-pad or of something of that type. It's very similar. The shape and size, it does not have any grooves. It's very smooth on the D-pad. But what's most interesting about it is it has little clicks. It has buttons, like kind of a micro switchy feel to it, which isn't bad. It's actually pretty good. Doing half circles, quarter circles, DPs, everything felt good. Now, when I started getting in trouble was when I started to try to do TK moves with Sedera, advanced jump cancel stuff. I was missing like kind of jump cancel or TK, just TKing super, TKing her air fireball web. It was not being friendly with me for that. I was maybe missing 3 out of 10. Man, maybe 4 out of 10. Let's be more honest. So for basic movement, it was pretty good. Dashes come out cool, no problem. I felt doing some advanced blocking, like blocking a couple lows, going into an overhead. It just felt a little wonky. Sometimes my thumb would, I guess get a little sweaty and just slide off. Definitely could have benefited from some grooves in it. But overall, it's not bad. It's much better than the floaty plastic discs of the previous controller, which just kind of, crazily rotated on an axis and just eventually broke and felt terrible. So it's not bad, but not great. Like I said, basic gameplay, dashing, quarter circles, DPs, cool. But when I got into a little advanced stuff like TKing supers, things like that, not so much. Going on to the analog stick feels higher. It feels like it's mounted higher than the other ones. I don't usually play with analog, but I did for about a day just to break it and see what it felt like playing KI with the analog. I can say honestly, because of the height, to me it's when I borrow someone's stick like at a tournament or event or something, and their JLF is mounted incorrectly, or their Sumetsu's or whatever is mounted too high, or they don't have enough board or metal on their stick and it's too high. That's what it felt like. It felt like it was mounted way too high, and I did not enjoy it at all. I mean, I would never use this for fighting games anyway, but I tried it and no go, didn't like it. So moving on to the buttons. So here we go. We have basic 4 buttons on the face, trigger, and shoulder buttons on the side. Now, these buttons on the face are pretty much similar to the 360 buttons. They're round, they have the same kind of pressure feel. Nothing really too big difference about them. Now, where I started getting in problems is I pretty much play just like holding the controller in a standard method. I don't use like claw or anything like that. When I'm doing supers or shadow moves, I feel I do have some executional errors where I would miss a button. Like I would hit X and Y and maybe not hit X and Y at the same time. Maybe my thumb is just crazy, can't do it. Other people may have no problem with it. I have tons of problems with it. And if I try to do a shadow move by pressing these two, it just, kind of the way they're rounded, I don't get a double press all the time, and I miss my supers. That's been an issue for me. I've been playing about 3 weeks now with this controller, and I have to really concentrate or randomly switch to the claw and kind of do that, but that usually doesn't work out too well. So the button, just placement, spacing, and the roundness, it's hard to get a honest flat push on 2 buttons for shadow moves, which has been kind of a pain. Moving on to more aggravations is this trigger. This thing sucks. It really only engages properly from the very tip right here. And I know if you watch any other review of this controller, people have probably said the same thing. And yes, it 100% true. So if you're playing, you know, if I want to do shadow move, you know, medium or light punch and heavy punch, which is default map to right here. I never changed the mapping. You know, I kind of have to adjust my finger to here and hit it. You know, just in the heat of a battle when you're playing comfortably and your fingers resting there, it's just not going to work. It's pretty bad. Now, moving on to the trigger is actually much better. I think that these guys took a nod from the customs community who were doing like custom 360 pads, and they were putting, you know, little stoppers in here, reducing the throw so you get the exact engage. You don't waste any movement. You're not wasting any energy button pressing. The actual throw of this trigger feels a lot shorter. It feels very comfortable, and I like it a lot. Now, it gets better. The trigger actually has a kind of like a slant here. It's not just like that, you know, razor sharp trigger sword, which, you know, destroyed your human flesh after days and weeks of play. It's actually a lot more comfortable. And also, if you hit it, it feels kind of padded at the bottom. Like almost, if you've ever played like on a, you know, a Sanwa silence button or anything like that, it actually has that minor feel to it. Like there's some sort of cushion or padding there. So the trigger has been totally, you know, buffed up. It's really nice, very comfortable. I have no issues with it at all. It's just that, you know, its brother that sits next to it here is a piece of crap. So if we could get the button and the trigger, or the button at the same quality level as the trigger without the engage issues of depressing it too deep towards the middle of the controller, those two buttons would be fantastic. And just for overall fighting gameplay, they would be fine. So those are my well, let's go into the body now. Yeah, let's talk about the body. The body is definitely slimmed down from all previous Microsoft Xbox controllers. Here, take a look. Be 'em off. Here's the original. Oval buttons, disc. Yeah, we've come a long way. Let's move this out of the way again. Alright. So the body's definitely slimmed down. It's comfortable in the hands, no problem. Weight is not offensive. Very nice weight, no problems. The only thing, you know, it's not major, but you should always maintenance and clean your equipment, is these grooves, after playing and sweating and you're putting it in an intense session, they're going to get filled with like gunk. And you're going to have to take a toothpick and some, you know, cleaning stuff and clean those out. I mean, that's pretty much with any, you know, any electronics that you're going to have your hands on or sweat on or touch all the time. I'm sure you know, you've seen people with the, you know, like Blu-ray players with a power button and it's like a ring of dirt around it because that's where they always hit. You know, it's pretty nasty. But, you know, you just got to clean and maintenance your equipment. You know, help it out. Keep the longevity of it. And yeah, so I got the Xbox One comes with batteries. I use the batteries, but then I got the charge and play kit. No problems there. There's really nothing. That's just regular controller stuff. But yeah, so D-pad for Killer Instinct for a fighting game. 1 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 6. Now, it should be higher, but for basic gameplay, it gets the job done 100%. But we know fighting games, when you really get into them, or you really want to, you know, unlock the potential of your character, of your combos, basic isn't going to cut it. And this thing needs to be able to perform advanced motions better. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because it just, when I started to get into more advanced things, it was just not getting them done. The analog, I guess this is personal preference. Like I said, to me, I got on it and I immediately felt it was wrong. I have seen people play with the analog on Killer Instinct, and I know that they're fine with it. So I can't really give a review on it too much because I didn't really use it because I didn't like it. It just felt too awkward to me. The buttons, as far as KI is concerned, are fine for normal presses, but when doing multiple presses, when you need to do breakers or whatever, I'm going to give them pretty much the same thing, a 6 out of 10. They function at a very strong basic level, and as soon as you try to go beyond that basic level and you need to do more advanced things, they're not positioned and set up correctly, and you're going to find yourself kind of fighting with it. This we're gonna rate these separately. This button, because of this humongous fault, automatically makes gamers have to play a different way, not the way they want, which can be uncomfortable for them. So this is going to get a 3 out of 10. The button clickiness, responsiveness is fine if you press it in the place where it actually engages. So for functionality, you have a working product, that's definitely a 3. But because it has no freedom for you to hold the controller or press the button where or how you want, it's not going to get any higher than a 3. However, this trigger I'm going to give a 8 because it is extremely comfortable and a great improvement, in my opinion, over the previous Microsoft Gamepads. Here's the 360 trigger. I mean, we all know, we all love this controller. Yeah, the throw is humongous, and the trigger is very just one little piece of plastic. You do not have this little slide off here, which is very important, and it actually feels really good. So this is my mini review, or just, you know, talk about for this controller for Killer Instinct. Pretty much every Xbox console that's come out, I've usually had one fighting game where I've had to suffer the gamepad for a little while. I guess in the original Xbox it was CVS2. I played with a gamepad for a while before I got a cheap wireless stick. And then Xbox 360, it was Dead or Alive 4. It wasn't that long. It was probably about like 2 weeks before I got the Dead or Alive 4 stick. But yeah, so we're going through the same thing with KI. So we're playing with this for about 3 weeks, and I should have a stick soon. So yeah, this is my mini review look at for the Microsoft Xbox One official gamepad for use with Killer Instinct. Alrighty, thanks for watching.